So super excited to have RoseMarie Powell, who's the ED. RoseMarie is a passionate advocate for social, economic, and environmental justice. She has worked for more than 20 years from the grassroots up, leading progressively to more senior management positions, overseeing a number of community-based programs and services, including those with the Jamaican Canadian Association, Jamaican Finch Community and Family Center, and Skills for Change. Currently, RoseMarie is the Executive Director of the Toronto Community Benefits Network, TCBN, a community labor coalition with a membership base of more than 115 groups and organizations across Canada. TCBN negotiates jobs and opportunities into major infrastructure and urban development projects for historically disadvantaged communities and equity-seeking groups. Tonight, please welcome our guest, my boss, RoseMarie Powell. All right,
Jeez.
RoseMarie.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to this prestigious Career Talks.
Awesome.
I've seen how it's developed over the last several weeks during your response to COVID, and you know, just the great speakers that you've been able to bring on over the last several weeks, and so to be among them is quite a privilege. Thank you.
So I'm definitely excited here. So you know, this is a really good opportunity to feature you. So for the first section, I want to really for our folks to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
So what does the Toronto Community Benefits Network, TCBN, do?
Very importantly, Toronto Community Benefits Network is a community labor coalition. So we're a membership-based organization, and we build on the platform of community benefits agreements to create opportunities for people who's been left out of the you know, labor market. Whenever there's a major infrastructure project that is being built in our neighborhoods, we want to make sure that we're negotiating to get benefits for the communities, jobs and opportunities, while the project is being built. So not just after the completion, but we know that there are really great jobs in the construction industry in particular that you know, people can get access to in order to help build up the infrastructure in their cities, to build what their future neighborhood is going to look like. And so to be able to partner with community and labor in such an you know, incredible way is just you know, quite exciting. We currently have 120 member organizations and groups from community and labor. We also have a number of social enterprises, which is a very important aspect of the work that we do also. We have a board of directors of 10 who are elected from and by the membership to represent them in issues related to community benefits.
Awesome. And before TCBN, what kind of jobs did you do before you became the ED?
My main career background is in employment services for the most part. So I've worked with a number of organizations supporting different types of programs that help people to improve their you know, jobs and economic opportunities. So as you had explained with the Jamaican Canadian Association, micro skills, skills for change. But one of the most you know, passionate work and you know, where I felt the most engaged was with my work for 5 years in the Jane and Finch community as the Associate Executive Director for the organization, and where we were able to implement an incredible green change project, looking at green jobs and how residents can actually participate in building up their local communities. And it's really as a result of that work that I got connected with the labor community and with the Good Jobs for All Coalition and the Toronto and York Region Labor Council and the great work that they were doing in terms of you know, social justice and economic justice. And so it was how I was able to plug in to this really great network of people who were actually, by that time, already pushing for community benefits across the city.
So how did these roles prepare you for this position as Executive Director of TCBN?
So, always progressing, I think for me, it's the difference in the roles that I've had before is, working with existing funded projects by the government. And, these were great opportunities in management, strategy, community engagement. And I really, really loved, doing that kind of work. And I'm very passionate about it. But I wanted to be a little bit earlier in the game instead of working with government dollars that are already assigned for employment services or for social programs. When the opportunity for community, for working with the Toronto Community Benefits Network came up, I was really at a place where I wanted to see more happen. I wanted to be a part of creating the opportunities. And that is basically what we do, as a community labor coalition. It's, how do we as a community stand together in solidarity with labor and with other allies and stakeholders to demand better for our community, and to demand that government think differently whenever they're going to be making major investments. How do they think about the impacts that it's going to have on the local communities, and how can they look at, with the same amount of money that they're planning on spending, how can they look at doing it a little bit differently to ensure that, people from those communities who are most impacted by it can actually benefit too from the economic opportunities that these projects will generate. And so, really, that was the difference. And that's why I'm just so passionate about the work that I do with the Toronto Community Benefits Network, and the solidarity that we have with the number of community organizations across the city, and labor organizations, and not even just organizations, community groups and advocates, local residents who are willing to step forward and to, to create the change that they want to see. That's where I find the most excitement and passion about the work that I do.
So you kind of touched on it just now, but can you talk a little bit, what role does TCBN play in the construction and trade ecosystem in Toronto?
Well, I always say that TCBN, our superpower is to be a convener. So we have decided that community benefits agreements is the process that we're going to be using to basically use some of the same strategies that unions do. So unions, they negotiate for their workers. The Toronto Community Benefits Network negotiates for community residents. And, this is essentially what we do. We convene people who have, some of the same values that we do. And we create a platform for them to be able to organize and to self-advocate for them and for their communities. And so really what TCBN does is, we negotiate the opportunities by convening and by educating the public, by educating, people who are impacted, by educating our elected representatives about the issues, and really creating a platform and giving voice to people from local communities to be able to stand up and advocate for themselves. So, there's lots of tactical things I can give you in terms of what TCBN does. But for the most part, it's a platform and a process that we use to be able to get commitments out of major infrastructure projects. And for every project, it's different. It changes. There's different players involved. But there is a certain process and steps that we take in order to be able to come to a negotiated agreement from all the parties. But what TCBN also likes to do is we want to be a part of the solution. we're not just saying, oftentimes, when development is happening, people will say, I don't want this in my community. I don't want this in my backyard. What we're actually saying is that, no, we want development to happen. We want our communities to be revitalized. We just want to be a part of that process. We want to participate in building up. And we want to connect you to the people who've been left out. Oftentimes, these projects are being built by, big companies who, with people who don't live in the neighborhood. So they don't understand unless they do a real meaningful process to reach out to the communities and to talk to them and to really engage them in a meaningful way. And so as an organization, that's what TCBN tries to do. Awesome. Convening and educating and making sure that we create the opportunity for people to have a voice at the decision-making table.
As well as create the solution piece.
Absolutely.
So going on that piece around looking at solutions, can you talk a bit about why was it important for TCBN to create the NexGen Mentorship program?
Well, as we, negotiated our first community benefits agreement on the Eglinton Crosstown project and, subsequent community benefits agreements on the Finch West LRT, Casino, Woodbine, and now we have the West Park Hospital Community Benefits Agreement. We recognize a pattern, and it's not, something that is new or surprising. We've always seen that, particular communities were being left out of the opportunities. We identified very early that Black youth in particular was a demographic that was having an even harder time to be able to connect into the construction industry. The industry has long been, quite exclusive in that, we don't see the kind of diversity that is reflected in the City of Toronto, also reflected in the industry. So Toronto now is made up of 51% or more people who are racialized. And within the industry, there is a real small number. I think the recent stats that we saw coming out of the Ontario Construction Secretariat is that it's about 11% across Ontario within the unionized construction industry. And so we identified that Black youth had a particular challenge getting into the trades. And so we wanted to create solutions and resources to be able to support them. And since they didn't have the contacts in the industry, we know that within the construction industry, it's all about that camaraderie, that that mastery of the skill, that is really transferred from generation to generation. And who would be looking out for these Black youth if and when they do get into the trades? Who's preparing them to enter into the trades? And so we know that mentoring, it's a strong concept within the unions. And so we wanted to replicate that for Black youth. And what we did was to really look at those, Black journeymen and women who are already in the trades and who've been there and done that. They've been able to navigate the system and to come out, the better for it. Perhaps even though these young people were not their sons or nephews or brothers, if they acted as a mentor, a big brother, a big sister to them as they come in and help them to guide them as they enter into the trades, this will help to create a better pathway for them. We know that the apprenticeship journey is it's really tough. Even for those who have supports in the industry, many do not complete their apprenticeship journey. And for Black youth especially, it was even more challenging. And so we had to do something. Since the Black Youth Action Plan project, which we got some funding from the Government of Ontario, we've since received some additional funding from the Government of Canada to be able to expand that program and now to include women, because gender is also a really strong issue that the unions are experiencing. I believe, 4.4% women. Depending on where you go, you will not see a lot of women represented in the trades. And so we wanted to be able to create, resources and supports to support women in the trades. And we're looking also at indigenous groups and newcomer groups. How can we support them to get into the trades and to have a successful career?
So can you talk a little bit about what exactly is the COVID-19 response NexGen mentorship program about?
So the NexGen Builders mentoring program, provides training for mentees. It provides training for mentors. And it is a structured process where the mentees are connected with a mentor, and the mentor works with that individual on a monthly basis until for at least 1 year to support them through their apprenticeship journey, at least the first year, which is usually the hardest. We have a mentoring coach, we have an app where we support connectedness among the mentors and the mentees. And we have quarterly sessions for those who are not matched with the mentors. They can also join. And so, we've had 88 people go through that program already over the last 2 years. And we've had about half of that being mentors as well. So 88 and 44 around mentors to mentees. So we weren't able to find mentors for everyone. That being said, when COVID hit, we know that it was devastating for so many who were waiting for an opportunity to get into the trades when many of the construction sites closed down, and where the training centers closed and where pre-apprenticeship programs closed. I know of some, pre-apprenticeship programs who, had to, basically, pause their program. And so we knew that this was just going to be devastating for all those who were waiting to be able to get in, and we had to do something. And so we looked at all of our programs and thought which one would be a program that we could adapt for the current situation. And so we decided that we would do the NexGen Builders mentoring program online and to expand it. We got support from our funders to be able to flex the way how we're funded, to be able to provide supports directly to participants, because we also did some outreach and surveys to find out how are they being impacted. And we realized that people would have challenge being able to connect online. So issues around internet, having a cell phone to be able to call in, might need babysitting while they're on a call. On a training program, might not have space at home to taking a training program online. And so what we were able to do is to carve out $500 per participant, and we're able to support about 150 participants in this program. So it's a 16-session NexGen Builders mentoring program online. It includes training around understanding the industry, understanding the apprenticeship journey, understanding, the specific trade that they want to get into, understand conflict management, understand green building, processes in the trades, understand, financial literacy, that kind of stuff. And of course, for the mentors, we also provided training on, and we're now doing that online, so that not because you're a experienced, journey person or professional, doesn't mean that you know how to support others. So we also provide training to help, the mentors, really develop good skill sets around how to coach others. And so that's what the program basically is. It's an online program, and we're going to provide up to $500 per person to be able to connect online. And the goal is that they will have a peer mentor who will support them throughout. And when the program is finished, and as we're able to, to outreach to the unions and to the contractors, we're going to be able to find more journey people who will want to become a one-on-one mentor with them. Now, we were able to actually take these extraordinary, steps for TCBN also because of the support of Aecon, who brought, incredible resources to the plate in terms of putting their money where their mouth is and supporting us financially to be able to do this. But also they have put the resource of Aecon University to support the NexGen Builders mentoring program so that we can have an online platform that is safe and secure and that is versatile to be able to have this kind of a virtual classroom. And so we're quite excited about that partnership that we were able to build with Aecon for this program. You're on mute there, Brandon.
Thank you for that. So
Okay.
just in terms of going back to the core of the NexGen mentorship program, what was TCBN seeing in the industry why this program was conceived, and what are the issues that it's meant to address?
So the goal of the NexGen Builders mentoring program is to support pre-apprentices who are registered in one of our partner pre-apprenticeship training programs, or an apprentice who has been, who's just getting started with their trade, or perhaps a construction worker who might have been working in the, in precarious jobs out there. And it's really meant as a professional support for these individuals to help them navigate the apprenticeship journey. To ensure that they understand the ins and outs of the industry, understand what employers are looking for, build networks within the industry, within the unions, within with the different contracting companies. It's really it's kind of like a club. Where people come together and are able to provide mutual support to each other to help them through a really difficult journey. We recognize that it's very challenging for people from historically disadvantaged communities and equity-seeking groups to be able to get into the trades. And this is basically, the unions, the community groups, and the industry partners coming together to wrap our arms around these new construction professionals, these new construction workers, so that they feel supported and welcomed when they do get an opportunity to get into the trade of their choice. We also know that, this is a long game. We're talking about a career, not just a job. And so sometimes it takes a little while for people to find that opportunity. But when you're able to build your professional network, you are then connected to people who are inside, who are in the industry, who understands when the next, project is being built. And, if they're going to need somebody, you're getting that inside information from the people who are basically looking out for you as part of this NexGen Builders mentoring program. I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is to get people into a job. And while they're waiting, into a career, and while they're waiting to get that first, job, we want to make sure that they're fully supported, and we have unions, who are participating and supporting this. It's not just as a community we're doing this. I got to tell you, this is a real partnership. We have the Carpenters Union, who has provided a number of mentors who come and who support, and who guide and who helps to connect people into opportunities. We have from the African American Canadian Caucus, LAUNA, 506 and LAUNA 183, great mentors from these unions who come out and who help to guide and bring information and bring resources and tell us when the next training session is going to start at their unions. We've had the operating engineers. We've had one person at least who is now a second, third year apprentice, and that's the operating engineers is one of the harder unions to get into. We have some incredible mentors from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, including our very own Aaron Jbak Alves, who is with the IBEW, and as a result of his joining the TCBN and us partnering with the IBEW, we've been able to see 6 people hired in the IBEW, and this wasn't an easy task. It's a really challenging union to be able to get into. We have, people who are interested in plumbing. We don't have the plumbers yet as a member of the TCBN, but there's a lot of mentees who want to be plumbers. And so we have people who are good friends on the inside, who come out and who support and who give us the information about the intakes. Being in this network is an incredible support to really make you be able to plug in and to connect to your profession, to connect to your career. It's an incredible resource. And, when we have these sessions together, it's like the energy in the room is just incredible. And it's going to be a challenge for us to figure out how do we recreate this as an online, session, but we're going to do our best. And outside of the sessions, we'll connect with you outside of the sessions too, through, telephone calls and, other Zoom meetings. And as soon as we get back, to regular times when we're able to meet face to face again, oh my gosh, you're going to love the NexGen Builders mixers that we have on a quarterly basis. They're just so powerful, so inspirational, where we get people from the industry who comes out and who shares their experience and their connections with us. And to have Aecon on board like this is just incredible as well, because, they're going to be sharing with us not just their platform, but also the expertise that they have within Aecon University, in terms of the facilitation and the additional, training sessions and programs that they also have, online programming that they do. Through NexGen Builders, we also will provide, for those who don't have their tickets, their health and safety tickets, or their working at height tickets, or their hand tools, or, we'll make sure that all of that is taken care of. We have a career coach who helps with resume and cover letter. Like, it's a full wraparound support. And again, so I talked about the unions and I bigged them up really well, but I want to also big up the community partners that we have with this. So Urban Res Solutions, amazing facilitators, who come in and they talk about conflict resolution. We have Direct Your Life. They come in and they do their presentations
privately
about transitions and transformations. We have restorative practice, conversations happening. We're so proud to be partnering with Construction Connections, who provide, additional resources and supports for people who want to get into the trades. We partner with our pre-apprenticeship training providers who are members of the TCBN. We thank Building Up for their partnership, and Trade Links for their partnership, and TNO for their partnership, and EVA's initiative for their partnership. Really, we're coming together as community, labor, and other industry partners to really recognize that we have a problem in this construction industry right now when it comes to equity and diversity, and they want to do something about it. And this is why community benefits, as a tool, as a policy, is really gaining traction, and why we're able to negotiate new community benefits agreements. We got Kumsa Baker. I think he's the one manning our the Zoom.
The admin.
Yeah, doing
the admin guy.
The admin guy right now. That is this is our campaigns manager who's out there with his eye on the ball every day. Because as far as we're concerned, every single construction project out there, every infrastructure project that is of a certain scale could have a community benefits agreement on it. So we're out there working to create the opportunities, and we need to make sure that there are people who are ready, prepared to take up those opportunities, because the unions and the general contractors, they want skilled people who are ready and who has what it takes to really, take up these opportunities. And they want to see more diversity and in their industry, and they're willing and putting themselves out there to work with us in this really meaningful way. And we know that it takes time, and we know that COVID is making things a little bit challenging right now, but we don't want people to lose hope. We want people to stay connected and and take this opportunity to really fine-tune everything, because we know that it is going to be construction and infrastructure that is really going to drive the recovery after COVID. The government is looking for shovel-ready projects, shovel-ready, and we need you to be ready.
Okay, folks, I'm just going to ask folks if they can put their phones and stuff on mute, if possible. I also want to make special mention, as you talk about partnership, and I want to make special mention to Seydou and Simone Walters, who put a lot of care and love into the NexGen program. And I think that was a great background.
Yeah, without them, it would be, just impossible. The passion that both of these, incredible women have put into this program. Seydou was just telling us that somebody called her at 12 a.m. in the morning trying to get information about NexGen Builders, and she actually answered. And I want to thank them for their support. Like, we're in this because we're passionate about it. We're people with lived experience who wants to see each and every one of you succeed. And so, let's work together and make this happen.
Okay, so I want to just jump right into it. I've seen some people start to post some questions. So again, I'm going to ask folks to put your questions, as some people are doing, into the chat. But can we talk a bit about the eligibility? So who is eligible for this program?
So we're wanting to find people who have had already an interest in pursuing a career in construction. We would like to have pre-apprentices who are already connected to a pre-apprenticeship program, or apprentices who might have lost, might not be getting enough hours at this point because of COVID. Construction workers who might have been working in precarious jobs out there, perhaps not in the unionized construction industry. We want people who have already identified that they want to pursue a career in construction. There is no, I prefer to talk about ineligibility. So there's nothing that really, if you're on Ontario Works, for example, it doesn't matter. We want, even if you're working, and you have a precarious job and you want to get into a better job with a unionized construction, we'd love for you to be on board with this. The only ineligibility that we've identified is perhaps international students. We're looking for people who want to pursue a career in construction. And of course, this is a program. So it's not just, we want people who want to take the training sessions. And we want people who want to have a mentor. We want people, who are really actively pursuing a career in the construction trades.
Is there any conflict with folks who are receiving the Canadian Emergency response benefit and being involved in the program?
No, there is absolutely no conflict with that at all. You know, the funds that we're going to provide is to cover internet, you know, cell phone, maybe childcare, food, and the maximum is $500. All we will need from participants who are selected is just to get the receipts so that we can have the backup documentation for the government about how we spent their money. Yeah, that's about it. There's no conflict there.
Okay, so let's talk about the process. How do potential participants get involved? Is there a website I would need to go to register? What's the process?
Yes, please type into the chat nexgenbuilders.ca.
Can you just type it in again? I saw you put it in earlier, but can you just type that in the chat again, please? So continue, RoseMarie.
So there are two different types of forms on the nexgenbuilders.ca. One is the initial sign up, and that's really for people who, you know, don't understand the full application and who wants help. So we'll give them a call and we'll help to fill it out so that it's complete with you over the phone. The main form that we want you to fill out is the one that's called it's nexgenbuilders.ca/mentors intake form. And you'll find it at the very top of the menu. You'll see mentor, you'll see mentee. So if you think you're eligible to become a mentor, complete the mentor form. And if you're eligible to be a mentee, complete the mentee form. But if you're having difficulty completing that form, just complete the sign up, which is way much shorter, and we'll call you and help you to fill it out. So that's the first step. After you've completed the form, and we are sure that it's thorough, because that's what we use to be able to do the assessment. It's actually, the form actually gets plugged into the back end. It's an app. It's an app that helps to match with the right mentor. So the mentee is filling out similar questions and the mentor is filling out similar questions. And it helps to match the mentee with the mentor in terms of making sure that there's a good match with the trade. There's a good match with how you like to connect by telephone, face-to-face, etc. That you have some of the similar personalities, for example, or you share some of the same goals. We absolutely need that form to be filled out. And when that's fully completed, then we'll go through an assessment to see if there is any glaring reason for why this person would not be a good fit for the program. And really, someone would not be a good fit if they had no interest prior to this in pursuing a career in construction. For those who did not have any interest in construction prior to this, we have other programs in place, and our member organizations have other programs that you might want to consider, including the Quick Start in Construction program. So basically, we would, if we notice that you're not a good fit for the NexGen Builders program, we would refer you to either Quick Start in Construction or another program within our network. And so once we've decided now that we'll accept you in the program, and this shouldn't take long because we're talking about an emergency response here, Sado will most likely be the one, or someone else who is supporting her, give you a call to do an online, a telephone interview. And that's really just to make sure that you understand what's involved and that you're prepared to go through the process. I mean, at the end of the day, there are 16 sessions that you do have to take. It's beneficial, for you, and we want to make sure that you have the availability to take the training online, and that you have everything, prepared to go. You're connected with internet and whatever preparations that you need to make to be able to participate in that training program. And so once we decide that, you know what, we are ready to work with you, then we will process the first part of the payment. So we're going to be paying out in 2 installments of $250. So the first $250, what we would need from you is the receipt for the internet, for the phone bill, for the food, for the childcare, or any other barriers that you've identified. And so we'll send you. By the way, we've our board of directors, is extremely supportive of this, and it is with their support that we were able to actually develop the program and the processes, and they have accepted and changed the way how we do banking to include email money transfer as one of the options. So this will help us to be able to process the money in a quicker way. So all that we would need is an email, and then you can decide, which bank account you will put it in. And then once you complete, we've decided on 75% of the sessions. So that would be 12 sessions out of the 16. Then we would issue the other $250. And so, and of course, you would be matched with a mentor or a peer mentor, and we would take you through the program and the processes that we have in place. We also need peer mentors. And peer mentors, there's a higher bar for peer mentors to be able to join the program than a mentee, because these are people who we expect would have at least gone through their first year of apprenticeship, and they have some experience under their belt, and they would have some capability as a leader or a guide or a coach to help someone who is just getting into the industry. And so, we will compensate peer mentors for an additional $500 to be able to, as an honorarium, to be able to support the mentees. And so there's another process for that.
So just to clarify, a mentee receives up to $500 and a peer mentor can receive up to $1,000.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yes.
Can you talk, so do folks need to have internet banking to get the funds?
So now we're talking about the best way to process. Yes, that would be the easiest way for folks to be able to receive the funds. We do also have electronic funds transfer if they don't have that already set up, but they do need a bank account for that. And the next process would be to issue a check, and that's not ideal for us to have to do. But if we need to do that, we could do that as well. I would suggest that the best way is to have email money transfer set up, and the best way so that you don't have to deal with passwords is just to get it as automatic deposit. So
let's say I'm interested in taking part in the program, but I don't have a laptop or reliable internet. How would I go about taking part in the program?
And that's the challenge, and that's one of the things we'll be assessing as we go through the process and the interview. For those who are unable to access the internet, or have a laptop, or a cell phone where they can do it, they can connect, it will be more challenging for them, and it will take more time. We'll work with you to go through that initial setup that you might need to do, but it will take you more time to be able to complete the program. And we're going to run this at another time, maybe another month down the line or 2 months down the line. It really depends on the pickup that we have at this point, and how much funds or resources we have in place to be able to do it. The resources that we have right now is for the COVID period, and so this is unusual. We don't usually cover participants' cost for this program. So I guess what I'm gently saying is, please do what it takes to be able to get access to the necessary equipment to be able to connect online. Obviously, you know, our goal is to help you to reimburse those costs, right? And for those who need a laptop, we are also looking at purchasing some laptops, a number of laptops for TCBN, which we could loan out to people. But that's another process that takes a little bit more time in terms of purchasing it and you know, getting it delivered to your place. But we're willing to do that in order to get people, you know, to be able to access the program. And it would just be a loan because basically TCBN will be having a new location in addition to our current location very soon, once we open back up again for business. And we're going to be turning that space into computerized training center to facilitate people being able to take the union test online, which is a new process that many of the unions are using now. So we want to have a computerized training center, and where we'll be able to have a library of laptops available for people who need it. But we're just getting started with that, and that's something that might take a little bit more time. So if you're able to find your own laptop and you know, go ahead and purchase your internet and take care of that on your own, obviously it would make our lives a little bit easier.
And you know, you talked a bit about before, but do you mind just kind of repeating about the receipts, the kind of receipts and that process of folks showing the receipts after they make a purchase to send it back to TCBN?
Yeah, so, you know, it's, we don't need to see all the details of your receipt, but, you know, usually nowadays when you purchase anything online, they send you a receipt to your email. Just flip it forward to us so that we have it and, you know, prepare it as your claim. And yeah, so I don't know if there is, you know, how much more there is to that. We only need for your cell phone, for example. I know some of my cell phone company would always give me all the different telephone numbers that I called. We don't need that. We just need the front page that says how much that has been paid. And that's about it. For the internet, again, just the first page that says that it's been paid. You know, we're going to try to issue food vouchers, so that should make it a little bit easier in terms of the receipt. And yeah, for babysitting, yeah, if you're getting you know, dad to take care of the child while you're on the phone, while you're taking your class, or you're getting your, you know, your older teenager to take care of the little one, you know, that could be covered as well. So they would basically just prepare a form, and we can give examples of what that could look like, and we would just need the person's details so that we could pay the funds to them. It's very simple, and we'll go over it with each person, because, and the interesting part is that for everyone is going to be different, the barrier that you would have to participate online. And we've been given, you know, the flexibility to be able to consider different types of barriers. So this will help us to learn, you know, what kind of issues are preventing people from being able to participate. And yeah, and even if it's not a barrier, we can still continue to cover things like certificates. So for example, perhaps you're already set up with internet and it's not an issue and you don't want to claim that, but you're still entitled to the $500. So it could be that you want to purchase a certificate, like your health and safety certificates, or you want to take a construction, you know, training program that is outside of the NexGen Builders class, and we can cover that too. We have a budget for each person for $500, and it's very flexible to make sure that it's helping to remove barriers to accessing a career in the construction industry.